everybody, and welcome to the Board Game Barbecue podcast. This is episode 333, sponsored by Advent Games, More Than Meeples, and our very good-looking Patreons. I'm Dana Banana, your host for today, and with me is the birthday boy who's finally made it into the fourth decade of his life.
I thought you were going to say fourth dimension, but I'll take fourth decade. I feel like I'm in the fourth dimension when you're around, to be honest.
I know. It's very screwed up, a lot of the conversation.
Yeah,
Our other host is from the Outback, a last minute entry, Connor.
Yes.
How are you, Connor?
Hello, Dana. I'm good. I've literally just gotten back from Brisbane. That's why I'm here. No, that's not true. I haven't come straight from Brisbane. But I'm good. I'm excited because we can talk about all the stuff catching up. It's going to be awesome. So if you weren't there, prepare to be jealous because it was a lot of fun.
And shocked, possibly, at some points.
And maybe never listen to this show again. I'm ready for that to happen.
Yeah. I want us to admit straight up that we were extremely depressed after leaving Adrian's place. Were you not all depressed?
Me? I was awful. And then I got back. So I got back at I got back to Warrnambool at like midnight, and then I had to work, and then I had like 3 massive nights like at work, and I was just like, oh my God, I was a mess. I really needed this weekend to do nothing. So that was
I found that once everyone went and it was like the final people left, it was like a ghost town here. Like there was no noise, nothing was going on. I didn't know what to do on myself. And I went to work, then I came back and it was still, there was no one here. It was just like, I was bored like instantaneously because I'd had so much entertainment and so many people around me for 6 days. It had been great. So, yeah.
Well, I was depressed as well. I was only there for the 3 days. However, I just found myself questioning, what is life all about? Why am I doing this? It was just this awful depression.
I would have thought it had given you more meaning because it would have been like, this is why I do it, so I can have all these friends.
No, but I want it all the time.
Yeah, I know what you
mean. To then go back to work, sorry, segment, but then to go back to work and then come back home, of course, and start cooking dinner and going through the usual routine was just very depressing. But yeah.
Well, I mean, there's an option. We could just start our own hippie board game commune at Adrian's house.
I was going to ask that because not that specifically, but like we used to live in these kind of close-knit, sort of tighter, small communities, maybe – I don't know, maybe 1,000 years ago, like roughly, if I had to guess, in the UK anyway, like in that part of the world. I don't think we'd survive these days if we tried to do it now. I think we'd all kill each other. I think we get too antsy.
Yeah,
but
probably.
we have to solve all our like issues over playing a game. Like, you'd be like, that's it. Get out Lost Cities, because it's like rather than a duel, it's like we'll play Lost Cities and then we'll work out who owns this goat and stuff like that.
And like 1,000 years ago, if Carl came back from the hunt and didn't get anything, we'd eat Carl. Whereas now, if someone went to the shops and didn't bring back a salt and vinegar chips that you asked for, what are you going to do? You're just going to whinge about it on Twitter. Like, that's what you got.
Yeah. Or then you probably just Uber Eats because you can Uber groceries now.
Can we just commit to this? If we start a commune, can we fix the toilet situation?
Oh, God. Not even going there.
Maybe that can be the after dark segment.
For those who weren't there, we had a hell of a lot of people at Adrian's. I don't even know how many there were, and the toilet got backed up really badly.
Why is it that the first episode we have after Adrian's thing, Dana's on there and the toilet's being talked about?
I'm just saying it's an important thing.
Well, it's like Eminem's rap battle, right? If you just say all the derogative stuff about yourself, then no one can come at you for all the crap stuff you've got. True. So,
at one point, when that was getting fixed, this has already gone off the rails. Well, I'm not surprised. I was going to get a drink from the from the garage in the fridge, and Joe was like, "Don't go to the toilet," and I was like, "I'm not going to the toilet. It's okay." He wasn't that aggressive. That's like but it was. If I was like, "No, it's okay. I'm not going to the toilet. I'm just getting a drink. It's fine."
A couple of funny things about that. Joe had threatened to block my toilet for weeks at the lead up to this. So I'm only blaming Joe, even though he has probably nothing to do with it. And two, I haven't found a single phallic effigy on any window in my house. So, like,
no one was going to do it.
Well, someone that didn't turn up this year that was here last year probably is the culprit. So I'm going to try and figure out who that was and narrow it down. And then they're going to get the blame, because I'm still blaming Tom for like a year, and it's probably not Tom, but who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't stay at your place, so am I off the hook, or am I on the hook? Oh, okay. I've probably just got back on the hook now. So
Adrian, I would love to know what your highlights are of that weekend.
Man, like I say it all the time. Like, I mean, I probably look like a bit of a crazy loon when these things go on, because I like to run around and make sure everyone's looked after, and I'm in and out, and I'm very flighty anyway. So I really enjoyed Saturday. I loved everybody being there together. I really enjoy that, having Mitch and Dan and Def and everyone, and Sigmund and Tristan, and just the list goes on and on and on. And also MJ's friends all together. And like I said a few times before, maybe on this or maybe on Patreon episodes, I didn't have a single friend before Board Game Barbecue. So for me, it's very overwhelming to see 5 years later all these people in the house and kids running around the garden having a blast, and just family friendly, fun, everyone playing board games and having a great time. I just really love that aspect. I'm glad that the briskets all came out really well, because we did 4 briskets. We ended up being like 25.5 kilos of meat. And I remember at one point MJ ran out to Finn and said, "Come get your lunch." He's like, no, I'm playing on the slide. I'll be sweet. And she's like, "Well, there's brisket." And he goes, "That's okay. We've got 4. And then she went, no. Dad's cutting up the last one now, and he just beelined straight for the kitchen to go get that.
I was interested in seeing like how far it would go, and seeing how much you'd have left over and things like that. Not because I was going to help myself to it, but I was like, just from a purely like 4 briskets is so much, and there were lots of hungry people there, and it just got taken up like that. It was so good, man. It was,
It was really, really beautiful meat. Like, it was succulent. Do you cook all of that at once? Like in
the
man, that's a big smoker.
Yeah, mate.
That's a lot of meat.
Big. I'm at capacity. So if we go any bigger, I need to borrow other smokers from people to go bigger. So I've already got people offering me smokers to borrow for such an occasion. One of my favorite moments was when, this is such a random moment, but Finn plays Overwatch with myself and Connor and Joe and Chris and Tom and Harry, and he named our team the Late Night Boys. It's a bit of a running joke. We all find it really funny. We all chant Late Night Boys, Late Night Boys. I've talked about it, I think, on here before, possibly, but it was really fun when Finn come to say goodnight to go to bed at 11 p.m. on the Saturday night, and it's so late for him. He's like up at 5 and in bed by 8, like religiously. So for him, it cooked him for 3 days afterwards. But when he came in the room and Connor picked him up and he started like chanting, "Finn, Finn, Finn," the whole room was like 30 people in the game room, all shouting Finn. And then MJ just goes, "Late Night Boys." And everyone starts shouting "Late Night Boys." When Connor puts him down, his little face is like, "I'm going to bed." This is all a bit overwhelming for me at this time of night.
Yeah.
So.
He sort of rolled over and was like, "Can I go to bed now?" I was like,
yeah, it was so funny. And it's just a great memory for him as well. Like, I look at that and think, he could look at that in years to come and think it was cool and fun. So, yeah.
I was wondering where the term "Late Night Boys," because I was chanting it, but I didn't know what it meant.
You'd be one of those people that like there's
the
a riot. Yeah, there's a riot. What are we throwing rocks at? Just throwing rocks.
Yeah. So there was so many lovely memories throughout the entire thing. So many laughs, like loads of tears of laughter, many occasions. I'm sure some of them will come up later on. But yeah, it was all great. It was all brilliant. So yeah, massively thanks to everyone who came. It was a great time. And maybe we'll do it again next year. I'm terrified to think that, but
I think it's going to become a yearly thing. It's going to become an
expectation.
If you
keep saying stuff like that, that's what ends up happening.
Hey, I've got my accommodation sorted with Nana Vizzy.
Mitch's Nana.
Mitch's Nana.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. What about you, Connor? What was the highlight?
Oh, like people would probably know this already, but I'm a big softie, and it was just great seeing everyone together. Like, I just love all of our friends that we've made through this, but you know what? It was one of those things where we didn't even mention this, like the podcast. They're our friends now, right? They're not like people who we go to game days with or stuff like that. That's part of who, like, you're in our friendship. But I mean, the Flip 7 drinking game was so funny. And the fact that we joined in and it had already been going once, like there was already one round over that had been played and then the next one. So, you know, there's people I'd never seen have a drink before, like Dan. Like, you made Dan drink.
Doing shots.
I was like, oh my God, Dan's having a drink. And then, you know, people were just like, just do it. Just give it to me. And like, it was that whole thing of like a typical drinking game where even when you lose, you win, or vice versa. Yeah. Like, there was that whole thing. So yeah, that was really fun.
One of my favorite parts of that was I tried to pour you your shot, but Manny made me laugh, and I basically filled the glass to the top, and you were like, I'm not drinking that. Then you just picked it up and necked it, and I was like, oh God, this is going to get hectic.
Well, everyone's like, oh, are you okay? I was like, there's a lot of me. It's okay. Like,
yeah, you're a big boy.
I've done a lot of drinking in my time, so, you know, I'm kind of a big dude. But yeah, what about yours, Dana? What was your favourite thing?
Oh, well, actually, I wish I had gotten to see that Flip 7 drinking game, because I was actually out on your dining room table with Mark, who was teaching this game called Paranoia. It was a bit like an RPG board game.
Oh, yeah,
I think. But it was quite serious, and we were hearing all this raucous laughter in the other room, and all we could see was you, Adrian, coming out and getting another bottle. Like, I don't know how many bottles of things you went through.
A bottle and a half of vodka in like 30 minutes between, I don't know, like 9 or 10 people. I don't even remember how many people were there, but it was because you bust in that game consistently. So it was a really stupid idea to play this game, but also very funny, and we all had a blast. So
I'm probably the same as Connor, that the memories of everybody just having a laugh in between games. You know, often I would sit there maybe with Mitch or something and watch other people play a game, but we would just chew the fat and have a good laugh. And those moments I think I'll remember for a long time. It wasn't really about the games. It was more about the people. And it was wonderful.
One of my other random favourite moments was just walking out into the lounge room and I see Lauren and Mitch on the recliner chairs watching basketball. Just chilling, having a great time. Like, it was just cool. I was like, this is awesome. I actually sat down with Jace while he was reading some rule books, and I watched like half a basketball game. We just all talked a bunch of rubbish. Like, it was great.
So what did you play?
Yeah, one of the things that we did play, we all played it together. MJ had arranged a trivia night where we all sat around and got assigned different teams. I was on Connor's team with Manny and Harry and Jess.
And Jess.
And I was just like, we are a write-off. We are not winning this. So I'm just going to let everyone know right now, we didn't have a dog in the fight. And it was just good fun. I can't remember someone else was on it. Was it Jace? Someone else was there on our team. I
apologise.
Sure
we apologise. Yes. If it's Jace, I'm so sorry, Jace.
We've got no idea. We'd had a lot to drink at this point, and it was just hilarious fun. I enjoyed it, and there was an Adrian round, which was hilarious to listen to. I couldn't partake, but I could listen to that. And everyone there, I think for the most part, really likes trivia. I think it's it's almost like a adjacent hobby to board gaming in a way, and people loved it. It was good fun. It was pretty hectic because we had, I don't even know, like 30 people, 25 people, something like that. Teams of 6 or 7.
It's like 4 teams of 6 or 7, so about 25, 30 people.
Yeah, it was great. It was good fun, something different, and it was like a good sort of almost like a party game when it's like
Yeah.
hitting that 8:30 kind of spot to play. So that was good. Finn had asked me if he could play Bristol for months and months and months, and it never happened because there's always adults that want to play it. And I'm always like, man, we're going to give the spot to the people who, want to learn the game for the first time, whatever. And you'll have plenty of opportunity when you get older to play it, blah, 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 blah. And he played, and he just was a typical 9-year-old. I'll do what I want. I don't care about my own cart. Oh, yeah, mingle. Don't worry about it. That's all good. Mingle, mingle. And then his cart, which had Haig in it, was like, I feel like you're tanking us. Like, you need to not mingle. You need to take these dice. If you do not take those dice, I'm pushing you out of the cart. To which Finn was like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. And he didn't do the dice. So Haig pushed him out. Finn whipped him to whip him to stop. But then Haig played another cart to let him have an action, then pushed Finn out. And then Finn realized after a bit of arguing and backwards and forwards that he was out. And I could see him starting to well up. And I feel that this may have been revenge for Finn beating Haig at Sea Salt and Paper. I think that's like the deep-rooted fact of it. Nothing to do with Finn's strategy, just that Haig wanted to, upset a 9-year-old.
He always had it in for him.
Yeah, he was ready. And basically, Finn left the room and was upset about it, actually. And we talked about it the next morning, and he's like, I don't like it when other people can just screw me out of the game. And I was like, those kind of games exist. They're not for everybody. And if you don't like it, that's totally fine. Like, you don't have to play those kinds of games. To which he said, yeah, I definitely play that again, but differently. I was like, yeah, you have to work with your cart, man. Like, and he wasn't sick. Even though we were convinced he was sick, Haig pushed him out and Haig died of shame. But he'd had 2 1s. He's like, I never hit 6. I had a 4 and a 1, a 1 and a 1, and a 3 and a 2 or something like that. He was like, nah, I was never sick. I wouldn't lie. But yeah, that was quite not amusing, but a interesting thing to see someone of that age have a bunch of adults around him playing a quite heavy sort of social deduction game. So we played that. That was cool. I mean, to be honest, it was just lots of other little games I played along the way. And to be honest, I can't remember all of them. I know that you've got one of them on your list, Shadenfreude, and that was the first Shadenfreude. Yeah, that was the first game I played. So it's the one I have like least memory of because it happened at the very start, and there was a lot that happened since then. And we only played one game of it, and I remember enjoying it. So I'm sure you can enlighten me more about it, Dana.
Well, I was taught by James, as in Draven. I really loved it. And actually, I've since taught it to my daughters, and they really like it as well. But that, I don't know how to pronounce this.
Shadenfreude.
That is so Aussie, man. Shadenfreude.
That's what it is.
Shadenfreude.
Okay, sure.
That
whatever.
was something like that. But I love the name. The name means, I looked it up, the joy you might feel at another person's pain.
Yeah.
Isn't that funny?
Have you not used that before?
What?
It's like when a team, when like a sports team you dislike loses, you feel Schadenfreude because you're happy that they lost.
I've never heard of that word. Yeah. Man, I'm just learning so much from you guys, I tell you. Anyway, so it's a must follow trick taker, but as usual, there's a few twists. So you've got suits 1 to 9, but you've also got negative numbers as well, if you recall. So you've got a -3, -2, -1 in each suit, and then a couple of wilds. And you get dealt 10 cards. And so you must follow and play one card. The highest number does not win, though. It's the second highest number that wins. The second twist is at the end of the trick, the person who won, which comes second, takes the card that they won and anything in the trick that was off suit. And then you place it in front of you face up, and they're your point cards for the end of the round. The third twist is duplicate numbers. Any duplicate numbers that you win then cancel each other out. Even if they're in your point cards in front of you, they cancel each other out. So if you win a -2 and you already have one in front of you, they're both removed. So you keep playing until everybody is out of cards, and then you just score the cards in front of you. But the fourth twist is that the game ends when someone goes over 40 points. anybody who goes over 40 points cannot win the game. So essentially, it's the second person that will win after the person that goes over 40 points.
That's great.
That last round is a bit of a cliffhanger. I don't know if you had that, Adrian, but we had that in our game with Chris. It was Chris, Jessica, James, and Dan, actually. And we had a few people just hanging around that 39-40 mark. And it was just so tense at the end. And everybody was sort of looking down at their point cards, calculating where they were. And in the end, I think I managed to give Chris an 8, which pushed him over the line and pushed him out of contention. Something happened to me and it did the same thing. But the other thing is with this game is that, let's say that 2 people, for example, go over 40. If you are on the same space, so if you've got 2 people on 39, they don't win either. The next person behind wins.
Oh, wow.
So it just has got some really great finishes in it. And I thought it was just awesome. You could have a complete Stephen Bradbury win in this game where you could just be the last person standing and win the game. And my family really enjoyed it. So it was awesome. Yep. Another good trick taker.
I also got to play a bunch of a game called My Gold Mine, which
it's great.
Really loved that game.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
It's an interesting game in the fact that basically we played it 6-player, which was great because you kind of everybody's in to lose really at that. And essentially you have, I think it's 8 cards, Connor, to guess would be the mine, the size of the mine. And let's just say they're 8 and you start in the middle in the center card.
Yes. Yeah.
And then essentially that builds out the mine, and there's a dragon at the very back of the mine. And your 6 tokens sit on one of the cards in the middle, and that sort of denotes who you are in the mine. And a card gets flipped over, and essentially you can take a card from the top of this deck, which gives you gold nuggets, or it might take you a step back towards the dragon rather than towards the exit of the mine. And it's a sort of push your luck game, essentially. But as you take the card, when it exposes these other cards, you have to take those. And if you flip over the one that's a dragon, he starts to devour the mine. So the mine gets shorter and shorter. But there's another deck, which is like, I don't know what it's called, essentially. It might be like the escape deck.
Yes, the exit.
The exit deck, yeah. And essentially that will allow you to, say, move 2 spaces towards the exit, or it might allow everybody in the entire mine to move towards the exit, because once you leave the mine, you can't come back. So you can sort of push players out of the mine who maybe potentially would get more gold nuggets before they left. It's really simple, really fun. It was great with 6 because there's a lot of shenanigans, like one of the exit cards allows you to swap places with another miner. So like, someone that's right on the cusp of death and the dragon is right behind them, they might drag a card out, swap with a player that's like closer to the exit, and then that player then gets devoured on the next turn because you reveal a dragon card. And if you reveal, say, 3 dragon cards in a row, it devours 3 parts of the mine instantly, and it can go really quick. And I've really enjoyed these sort of push your luck games recently with things like Flip 7, with this one as well, My Gold Mine. They're just great for that kind of day where you're just having fun, giving each other grief, and playing something lighthearted and just interesting.
And egging people on, because I felt victim of that so many times to both Manny and Mark. They'd be like, "Well, you're going to sit on like for Flip 7, like you're going to sit on that? Don't sit on that. It's like an 8 and a 7. You'll be fine." Flipped, and I got a 7. It was like, well, stuff you guys. So, have you ever played Ink and Gold, Dana?
No, I haven't, but I've seen the box. Yeah.
So it's a similar thing where you're going through and you make a decision whether you want to move backwards towards the mine. The other cool thing about this is that what you see on the top of the deck is the card, right? So it's like if there's a piece of gold there, if you take that gold, then the next card's already facing you. So it's that whole thing of, well, I know it's there and I can take it, but I know that I have to resolve what's underneath. So it could be the fact that, then, it could be I've got to move towards the dragon or towards the exit, but there could be a juicy 2 gold there. And if you haven't moved far enough and the dragon gets you. And then, like, so if you flip the dragon, like Adrian said, you can flip 3 dragons in a row. And then it's just like, nom, 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 he sort of puts them on fire. And yeah, it's really fun. I played it a couple of times with Tom, actually. He's like, oh, we should play this. And yeah, it's really fun. And like you said, to push your luck, and great in those situations where you're just egging each other on and being like, oh, come on, you're not going to do that, are you? And swapping is, like Adrian said, so good because like, oh my goodness, I'm just going to swap with the person that's right close. But also with the thing where you have to push everyone else, someone might be like, well, I'll sit here and grab a couple more pieces of gold. And then if everyone gets pushed out the mine, well, they can't go back in, they're out. So that's a really interesting twist as well. I think sometimes we want games to be really complicated because like complication makes it fun. You know, different rules make it fun. Sometimes it's just, you know, that anxiety, but that good anxiety that you have, like, oh, what am I going to get? What's going to be next? That's enough to tie a game together. It doesn't need to have asymmetric powers, doesn't need to have double use cards, doesn't need to have drafting. Like it can just be silly fun with a group of people that you're getting along with, and that's all a game needs to be.
I agree.
Well, I wanted to quickly talk about a game that Joe taught myself, Mitch, and Tom, and that's SETI, the what's it called? Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence. So it's SEITI. And I think, Adrian, you talked about this briefly after our PAX episode, or maybe you...
Me and Joe played this at PAX as a demo, and the demo is like the Cloud Spire demo. It's on Rails. So it's like, you take action this, and this is the outcome, and you get this, and you kind of just sort of, you know, go through the motions. And it was really interesting just doing that. But I was lucky enough to play it as well with Tom after you had played it at mine. We didn't get to finish the game entirely, but we got 3/4 of the way through. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's cool. So I would liken it to something like a Lost Ruins of Arnak, where you've got lots of potential actions that you can take. There's card play. You're looking to do missions, but what the main wrinkle is that when you do enough research, you get to unveil these extraterrestrial life forms. And I can't remember, Joe said there might be like 6 in the box or something like that. I think he was saying, and they don't change the game heaps. Like it doesn't change the outcome or anything like that, but it's just a nice wrinkle for you to have, to be like, oh, that does change it a little bit to make it a bit more interesting. It changes the mission. So it goes from being like this like search around our solar system that's kind of cool, and then these extraterrestrial life forms come in. They're like, oh, this like adds a lot to it. So it's a lot of fun. It's very tight on resources. If you don't like having to make really tight decisions, it might not be for you. But I really enjoyed the process and the loop of launching your probe, then landing your probe, or launching your satellite and then landing your probe from there, and then trying to get the bonuses and then trying to make your resources go as far as possible. That's why I think it's a bit like Arnak, because, you know, it is stretching those resources out and trying to find those resources from other places. The cards are dual use, so you can discard your cards to get resources. You have little upgrades to your powers, and there's a fair bit of asymmetry is the word I would use, but it's not like, you know, totally different. But, you know, Adrian's stretch of his computer powers and things like that would be different than mine, and so on and so forth. So I'm very keen to play this again, to even get myself a copy. And because I actually think if you're willing to sit down and learn it, it is a big, long teach, and Joe did a really good job. But I think once you've learnt it, it's a game that you could just play like that and really try and maximize your score and things like that. So yeah, SETI, definitely look out for it. It was really, really good. And the last one I'll say is we got to play the Anarchy. So myself, Mitch,
God, I saw
Harry,
you guys with your heads down.
Yeah. And I took the funniest photo of Harry with this massive frown on his face. I put it on our Facebook community, and that's an absolute brain burner. Adi, you liked Hadrian's Wall, right?
Yeah, I thought it was great.
You'll love this. And it's not just because it's Bobby made it. It's so clever. And Mitch Mitch actually had a very interesting point, which is rare for him, but he mentioned how, like with Hadrian's, could just be like, oh, go up a track. This is very different because you're having to build defenses and then build your wall and then make sure that you're defending the right type. So whereas with Hadrian's, it was just, you're defending the like left, middle, or right, or combination of the three. This, with Anarchy, when you're building your defenses, you can build different types of defenses that will defend against different types of attacks. So if it's like a hot oil attack, then you've got to have something to defend that. Or if it's like an attack against your moat, you can use hot oil and all this type of stuff. It's really interesting, but it's still got that, I take this to get that and to get this to get that Hadrian's has. It's just that, but the next evolution. It's the stage 2 evolution of that, I think, and it's really, really good. And again, another game that Mitch did a really good job of teaching us, and it's a long teach, but I think that I would happily teach this to someone else because it's very natural, the process that you go through.
Would you say it's more difficult? You say it's the next evolution. Is it more difficult?
There's more to manage. So at this stage, and after I'd played it, upon reflection, I've changed my tone because I've played it a couple more times since I've gone back. But effectively, at the time, I think it's a better game than Hadrian's Wall.
Big call.
I think it's better. Whether everyone would enjoy it more than Hadrian's Wall, that depends on whether you like the fact that it is effectively a mid to heavy Euro on paper, because that's what it is. It's gone past the point of it being a flip and right.
Yes.
Hadrian sort of pushed that as well, whether or not you're going well. But the thing is that if you don't do it on that bit of paper, you're going to have 1,000 tracks that you're going to keep track of with tokens or meeples. So it's like, it is better that it's on these 2 sheets of paper. I actually ended up getting the whiteboards in the Kickstarter. So the whiteboards have the Anarchy on one side and they have Hadrian's Wall on the other. So it's like, well,
that's great. Yep. I didn't actually get the whiteboards. That's awesome.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yep. I actually did want to just mention one game, if I may, but it's not related to Gamerpalooza.
Not allowed. Sorry. Okay. We're moving on.
Sorry. But I did want to talk about a game called Scales of Fate. It's by IB Studios and it's on Kickstarter at the moment. It's only got, at the time of recording this, it's only got about 4 days to go, I think. But I thought since I was able to get a copy of the prototype, it might be worthwhile me talking about it now. So thank you to Thinkathema for giving us the opportunity to get a copy of the prototype. We really appreciate it. So as I mentioned, it's currently on Kickstarter, but it will be finished by the time this podcast airs. Scales of Fate is a 2-player only game, and it's set in the same universe as Veiled Fate. I have only played Veiled Fate once, a very long time ago. I think it was back in 2023. So I don't have a lot of...
Was that at South by Southwest?
Yes, at South by Southwest. That's right. Jules,
same time I got to play it.
Correct.
And I thought it was a phenomenal game. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was wonderful in a large group. It was a really wonderful game. And I'm not one for deduction games, I must admit, but I did enjoy this particular one.
It's just got more than that. Do you know what I mean? That's why I think it's great, because it's more than just the deduction element in the Veiled Fate. In
deduction games, or maybe even social deduction games, sometimes it requires a bit of, I don't know, play acting, and I'm not comfortable with that. It just doesn't come naturally to me to do that. So, but Veiled Fate is all you do. You're just playing mind games with people and doing underhanded things, and I quite like that. This 2-player, I call it a 2-player version because it certainly has similarities to Veiled Fate. It's a head-to-head 2-player battle, and you play over 3 ages. And I actually taught my husband this game yesterday. And if you were to have a look at it, I don't know if you guys are having a look at it while I'm talking to you about it on BGG, it's this big, chunky, wooden, abstract game. And it's got these lovely, chunky, wooden, interlocking pieces on a dual-layered board. It's actually quite difficult to describe it. So I'd encourage you to sort of have a look at it while I'm talking about it. But in the game, you're taking turns placing coloured characters, so the demigods, the same characters that are in Veiled Fate. You're taking it in turns to place these characters onto the board. And actually, when I say onto the board, they go on top of these chunky tokens, and then they activate abilities that are underneath underneath them, or the tiles that you play them on. And at the start of the game, you get dealt 2 secret cards, and they'll have 2 coloured characters, which are the demigods, on them. And those cards will be the only way that you can score points in the game. So essentially, what you're trying to do is manipulate the game state so that you score as many points as possible from those 2 coloured gods. So it probably sounds very familiar to you in terms of Veiled Fate already. So you score points at the end of the game, and there are these tokens that represent each god on a victory point track or renown track. And if your 2 gods end up on the same renown space, you'll score that many points. If they are on different spaces, you'll score the difference between the 2. So if you're on the 10 space, they're both on the 10 space, you'll score 10 points. If one is on the 7, one's on the 10, you're only going to score 3 points. So the game actually flies by very quickly. It is not a long game at all. I think it would probably play in roughly half an hour if you knew how to play. But in those 3 rounds, there is actually quite a lot of strategy and forward planning. Like as you're placing these gods, one, you're trying to deceive your opponent, because at the end of the game, you get additional points if you can guess both of your opponent's demigods. If you can't guess any of them, you lose points. So you're trying to deceive your opponent, but at the same time, you're trying to place these gods so that you get obviously the most points. But it's sort of on a knife edge in some ways, because just one move from your opponent can make you, like if you're trying to get your 2 tokens, your 2 god tokens on the same space, just in that last round, you can suddenly something might happen and one of them loses a renown point, and you literally have just scored 1 point for the entire game. So it's actually quite satisfying to play. I found it very satisfying to play. And just those mind games that you're playing without speaking, but you're just the way that you're acting and the way that you're picking up the demigods, you may be faking how you're picking them up or something like that was really enjoyable to me. The replayability is pretty good as well, because the setup changes. Like there are different age cards for each age, so the setup is slightly different for each game.
What did Ben think? That's what I want to know.
Okay, this is interesting. Now, I was going to talk about this, and I didn't want to take a depressing turn, but this is really interesting. So this morning we normally have breakfast on our patio, and I said, "Oh, how about I get Scales of Fate and we have another go at it?" And I could see a sense of dread on his face.
I can imagine.
And,
no offense to Ben, but he's not a gamer. You've said it many times.
Yeah,
that's quite a game. Like, to be honest, like a head-to-head.
Yeah.
Like,
And he said it was just sort of like a bit of silence. Then he said, "Oh, okay," and actually he was very upfront, because he's quite a proud man, I think, and he was very upfront. He said, "You know how with trivia, how does that make you feel?" And I said, "Oh, I know, it makes me feel stupid." And he said, "Well, that's what that game does to me." And I think sometimes we forget that as gamers, concepts are quite simple. You're using all this language, which seems very common to me, but to him, he was completely lost. And I actually, to be honest, I didn't even notice it in the game. I didn't notice it as we were playing the game. I think he was trying to hide it. I think
at the end of the game, you were 72 points. It was minus 40.
Well, I won.
Noticed. Yeah.
I won, and I said, "Oh, you did really well." And he said, "Look, I've got to be honest with you. I had no clue what I was really doing." And I said, "No, you did really well." But I didn't know that I'd made him feel stupid. I didn't. I wasn't aware of that, and it just goes to show that sometimes as board gamers, we think something is simple, but to others, it's not. And you have to be very careful. I can imagine if
I thought you were going to say something different then. I thought you were going to go, it just goes to show the great lengths I'll go to play a game. I don't care how he feels.
Well, he's very good at playing card games and all that. Like, he loves trick-taking games. He's very happy to play those. But I'm very lucky that he's very tolerant. But I can imagine if someone else were doing that and trying to introduce their partner maybe to a game, that this would not be the one to do that. You know, this wouldn't. There's some complex language in it, and that sort of language can be quite difficult for a non-gamer to understand. And it really made me rethink. I probably shouldn't have done that. I probably should have found someone else to play it with. But luckily, he's very tolerant. But anyway, it's just a lesson, and for other people to think about when you are trying to introduce non-gamers, to just be very careful about what you introduce them to. But anyway, this is on Kickstarter. They've got two-player games in the same Kickstarter. The other one's called Pillars of Fate. But if you are interested in those types of games, the production quality is very high, as you'd probably expect from that publisher. It's
100%.
extremely high. So, yeah, I just thought I'd mention Scales of Fate.
And before we move on to the sizzles, myself and many people in Australia and around the world have been opening the Elder Scrolls game, which actually arrived while it was my birthday, and it was here. And MJ bought it for me 2 birthdays ago. She backed it.
Oh my God.
Back then. It was the first game she's ever backed for me because I begged her to back it. I was like, come on, like, there's nothing I really want. I want this thing. And she's like, yeah, but I'd like to give you something on your birthday. And I was like, but I want this. This is the thing that I really would like. Like, so she got that for me. Anywho, I was lucky enough to get a prototype production copy, which wasn't completely finished, but it was 95% finished. There's a few graphics missing and some rules that were not completely correct in the book. However, I played the campaign, played 2 campaigns, played two-handed solo, and I played it with my KDM group. Loved it, thoroughly enjoyed it, and didn't get it back out until it arrived. And as it was coming, I said to Finn, this game's coming in like a couple of weeks. Do you want to try it? And we tried the Elder Scrolls, and he, for some reason, just loved it. Fell in love with it, really enjoyed the game. And I was then waking up to him at 6 o'clock in the morning, coming into my bedroom to say good morning when I was still half asleep. And he's like, Elder Scrolls? And I'm like, mate, like, let me get a coffee. Sometimes he just does this. For certain games, he just clicks and he just loves it. And we played it a little bit, but I didn't want to keep playing it until the other one had arrived so we could open it up and go through some of the new stuff and look at the game and go through a full campaign, which we spent 16 hours this weekend playing, which is quite a lot. 2 like big sessions and a smaller session. And we loved on Friday night just unboxing it and going through the new stuff and looking at all the cool bits and discussing like what guild we would follow and what quest line do we want to start with and all this kind of stuff and what map we wanted to use. And because we had the expansion content, we started with the expansion map, and Finn chose one of the expansion classes, skill trees, if you will. And I started with just heavy armor because I wanted to try that out. And it has been a completely different experience to the 2 prior experiences I'd had. And I think I sort of mentioned it before that it's not a massive, big 2-year KDM monster campaign or a Gloomhaven or an Aeon's Trespass. You can do a campaign in a weekend. Like, we were very close. We did 2 full sessions, and we're coming up to doing the last part now, but we kind of gave it a break and we'll finish it during the week. But it's been a great experience playing with him. He's thoroughly enjoyed it. I've got a funny little video that I sent to my mum, sort of secretly recording him taking his turn. And it is like a rabbit hole of actions because we're in like session 2 where we are buffed to the nines and we've got lots to do. And he's just like, this goes here, this is this, I'm going to put this here, and I get to teleport across to here. I'm putting my totem down, which is my tank illusion. He gets this, blah, 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 blah. And he's just reeling off this stuff. And I sent it to my mum, and she's like, I've got no idea what's going on, but he seems to know what's going on. And it's funny because I probably know 70% of what his character does because he kind of does these things, but he reads the cards and the skill cards and knows exactly what they do. And it's that thing of like I've said before, my memory is shocking, but like the amount of times where I have to look at the stats and what each enemy chip does, and I'm like, oh, okay, what does rush mean? And I have to look it up. And as I say, oh, I'm going to just look up what rush means, he's like, oh, it means that if he can't get to you on his turn, it means he gets another movement action until he gets to this. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I was like, I should know this. I've played it way more than he has, but he's got a much better memory than me. But I've really enjoyed playing with him, and he loves it. Like I can't understand what it is that he has really enjoyed about it, but there's something that's just clicked in his brain, and it's been thoroughly enjoyable. And I know that Connor has opened his one this weekend, so I'm sure he has a small sort of brief first impression of what he feels about it.
Yeah, so I guess my experience of opening the start of the game is different to yours because I've got the whole it's official, right? Well, not that yours wasn't official, but it's not prototype, and really interesting because I opened it up and like a lot of these big games, I was totally overwhelmed and was like, oh, what am I going to do? And I don't get a lot of games to the table by myself anymore, playing games by myself, doing things that are solo, but I made the commitment, one because it's Chip Theory and one because it's Elder Scrolls, that I was going to try and play this one solo and at least try it by myself first and then maybe see if I could rope someone else in. Me and Dana had this chat yesterday. But it is really clever how they've used the Dized app, so Dized. It's an app that effectively explains everything you need to set the game up. It's incredibly clever, incredibly intuitive. You can click forward, you can click back to go back and look at things. It explains the different processes. It explains the first combat. They give you, it's effectively the tutorial guide and the first couple of encounters from the book, but digital and interactive. It is really, really clever. I have clearly not played it as much as Adrian has, with two campaigns. And it's interesting you call them campaigns 80 because they remind me of the sessions that you have of Too Many Bones, maybe some of the longer ones. And I wouldn't consider them campaigns, if that makes sense. They are longer and more involved than just the journey. I can't remember what they're called in Too Many Bones. Therefore, Mitch would remember, but it's still got the DNA of Too Many Bones, and I don't think it's going to replace Too Many Bones for me. And some people have already said this. Adrian, you weren't a massive fan of Too Many Bones. I think you've said it's cool, like it's cool for what it is, but it's not your cup of tea. Whereas this one here, it fits the type of game that Elder Scrolls is perfectly because they don't hamstring you into doing one type of thing. All of the different mechanisms that you can use are viable. I think they've really sharpened it up, and it's less of a puzzle than Too Many Bones is. It's very much a miniatures or skirmish type game or encounter game that you would have like a Gloomhaven, like a Oathsworn, more so than the puzzle that Too Many Bones is. Because Too Many Bones is a puzzle, effectively. How are you going to use these things that you've got at your disposal to be able to defeat the baddie? Whereas I feel like Elder Scrolls is a character creation you're going through, and it is effectively their version of an RPG, and it's really, really cool. Yeah. I'm excited to play this more. And like, it's just Chip Theory, man. They just do such great stuff. I'm yet to play a game of theirs I don't like, or that hasn't really cracked my top 20. Then that's with me playing Burn Cycle a little bit and not really jiving with it. So, but I've still got it. But yeah, really excited. I can see why you raved about it on the show, and it's going to be awesome.
I've seen lots of photos of it on social media, people unboxing theirs, and it really looks amazing. It's not for me, but it looks amazing.
Yeah, I think that they've just taken it to the next level, like Connor said, like an RPG version of Too Many Bones, where you kind of have these kind of characters that you build up over time, which is really fun. I think in Too Many Bones, I found that, oh, sweet, I've got this sick character, I built it up, and then by the time you get good, it's done. You're out. And there was, to my knowledge, I think there is a small campaign maybe, but it's nothing in comparative to like this.
The thing is that the type of game it is, it's not conducive. Does that make sense? Whereas this was made with having a campaign from the get-go.
If you want to buy the latest games, there's no better place than Advent Games. They have a huge selection of games with heaps of different categories like light and fun, Euro heavyweights, or hard to find games to help you find the best fit for your game night. On top of being a great bloke and an avid gamer himself, Dean provides excellent customer service, is very responsive to questions or inquiries, and offers flat rate shipping across Australia. So to grab your games, head to adventgames.com.au. That's adventgames.com.au.
Well, Adrian, I am very much looking forward to hearing your sizzle because this game my husband loves. He absolutely loves this game.
I was going to say, if you have, when you were talking about card games and stuff, I was like, if you haven't played this with Ben yet or bought this for Ben, you're a bad human being. Because, this is called The Gang. This is what the game is called, The Gang. It is essentially a poker game where you're working together cooperatively to bust into a bank. The theme is very loose, but it's got really interesting table talk. You're not really talking, you're kind of alluding in ways. And it was the game that I kept saying, where's the gang? During that whole weekend, who's got the gang? Because I think Harry had it and someone else, I think maybe Chris had a copy. I was like, I really want to play it again because it's just so simple. And MJ's friends don't play many games, so I got to play a couple of hands with them and they enjoyed it because they do play poker. So they really enjoyed it. So essentially what you're doing is on your turns, you are dealing out every player 2 cards each, just like in poker. And it's a Texas Hold'em style where essentially you'll have 5 cards in the middle. And you look at your 2 cards, and depending on how many players there are, for this example, there are 6 players. There will be 6 white chips in the middle of the game, and they have a number of, or star, of 1 star to 6 stars. And by taking that chip, you're letting the rest of the table know how powerful your 2 cards are in a hand of poker. So if you start with a pair of 2s, that's pretty high. So you might want to take the 5 because it's not a pair of kings or a pair of picture cards, but it is still a pair, which is very strong. And another player might look at them and essentially go, well, I haven't got anything. I've got a 4 of spades and a 9 of clubs. That's a straight if I can fill in the middle, but the chances of that happening are very low. So I'm just going to take the 1 because I really don't have a lot. And essentially everybody around the table takes chips, but I might have the pair of 2s and I took the 5, and then someone else might look at their cards and go, look, I've got a decent-ish hand, but they might swap it and give me the 6 and take the 5 away from me because they firmly believe what they have is good, but from me grabbing the 5 so fast, they believe that I potentially have a stronger hand than them. And then we burn a card, just like in poker, then we reveal 3 cards in the middle. And then we look at our hands using the 3 cards in the middle and the 2 cards we have in our hand, and that might change how that has played out. I might then look at my pair of 2s and there's a pair of aces on the table, and I go, well, hang on, I've got a pair of 2s and a pair of aces, but if someone has 1 ace, they instantaneously have a better hand than me. So I'm going to take the 4 and see what other players do. And, some 3 players might try and grab the 1 at the same time, denoting that they have bupkis. They got nothing. And that's kind of funny in itself because then the 3 lowest players sort of argue it out amongst themselves of who has the worst hand. No, I'm definitely taking the 1. And I don't know, I think maybe you take the 2 and I'll take the 1. And they just start swapping these chips around. And it's just, it's really interesting table talk. I think that maybe we might play it a little bit wrong in the fact that we give a little bit more information than the game rules allow. However, I think that kind of strange illusion table talk is more fun. I enjoy that more than sort of silent play, if you will. And then you do that again. You pull out another card. and then you do that again, and it's only the last card that matters. So when you flip and reveal the last card, they are red chips. They go from red to yellow to orange to from white to yellow to orange to red. And the red ones, the final hand, is all that matters. And then once you reveal those, and everyone takes their chip 1 to 6, you then start with the person with the 1. They show their 2 cards, and they have to essentially make the worst hand compared to the next player, and then the next player, and the next player. And essentially, the 1 has to be the weakest all the way up till you get to the 6 being the strongest. And if you do it in that order of progressively getting more powerful hands, you get a safe crack open, card flipped. If you do that 3 times, you win the game. For me, the game itself is, I don't care about flipping the cards, if I'm honest. I don't care if we get 3 or get none. I just enjoy the experience of playing the game with people. Winning is great, and it's revealing, and it's awesome. That's more exciting than winning 3 and getting the 3. It's just fun. Like, I really enjoyed it. And I loved poker as a sort of teenager, from the age of, say, 15 to 19. I used to go to a friend's house. We all started with 100 pennies in jars on his fireplace, and we would play every fortnight, and then you could see who was winning because someone's jar would be depleted down to like 30 pennies comparative to someone who had 250 pennies and had everyone's pennies. It was just fun. And I loved playing poker, and I love that experience, and I love the table talk. It's a great game. Anyone that likes poker or cards would adore this game. I bet Ben loves this game.
He does. He
100%.
does. And he's very, because he is a poker player. He's really great actually at calculating odds and talking to the kids about it, and just saying, okay, Hunter has got 25% chance that he's got this. He's very, very clever like that. So this is right up his alley, and the opposite of Scales of Fate. So yeah, it's a great family game. Things have been said about this game where, if you don't know poker, it's too hard to learn. I don't believe that. I think that if you've played Yahtzee or anything like that, I think it's similar to that. I don't think it's difficult to pick up. So it's a great family game. Yeah,
but you have a guide, like a guide card in front of you as well that tells you, hey, this type of hand is the least powerful or strong, and then so on and so forth. And I mean, without offending people, you've got to be living under a rock to not understand what hands are more powerful than the others. I kind of get what's more powerful, a flush or a run or a set like that. That's fine. I understand that. Or a straight, sorry. But if you've got 4 of one type of card and someone's got 2 of another type of other card, you're probably going to have a stronger hand, right? If all your cards are the same color as the cards in the middle, you're going to have a strong hand. Like, that's kind of what you're going to say. And again, it's like what you said, Adi. The hardest parts to get right is it's generally with the normal rules that you play with. I know I don't even play with the Omaha rule before, and we won't bother going into that. You've talked about that in another episode. But effectively, it's really clear if you're going to have the strongest hand. Generally, maybe a bit of a toss-up between the top 2. It's really clear if you've got absolutely nothing, because you clearly have nothing in your hand, and maybe you have a pair of 2s or 3s or something. It's really hard if you're playing with more than 4 people to get those middle ones right, because it's like someone could have like 2 pairs, like really, like they could, and that could be a decent hand, or someone could have a straight, or someone could have a flush. You've got a 5. All of a sudden, there's a 5 there. In there, do I take the 3-star or do I take the 1-star? Because I don't know if there's face cards or whatever. So that can be really, really fun as well to work that. And I agree with you, Adi. It's like you get 3 in a row, you get 3 in a row, whatever. I know some people will be like, no, you got to get 3 in a row, get a 3 in a row. But it's just fun trying to work it out and see if you get there. It's like the mind. Where does mine sit compared to everyone else's? So, yeah.
In saying the you don't need to know poker thing, I agree with that. But I think the one tiny thing that they could potentially do is, that scale, that card you get where it tells you the scalability of the things. It would be nice to have maybe like a percentage written on there, like your percentage chance of getting a pair is 70%, right? Your chance of getting 2 pair is 60%. Your chance of getting a full house is 7% or something like that, because there's no, I don't know how to say it. Essentially, you're just seeing like a list of hands and mine's stronger to weaker. So it's quite hard for someone to realize getting a straight is actually very hard. Like
Yes.
the percentage chance of getting a straight is not easy. So if you have a straight and it's in the middle of the table, because above that is a flush, running flush, royal house, full house, full house, royal flush. If you're looking in the middle, you go, well, I'm in the middle of the table. I'm going to take the 3 when you've already got a straight. Some people, that's the only little sort of hiccup I would see with that game. Potentially you just sort of, maybe even if you're teaching it to say, to get these is so rare. So if you're getting these, you need to be taking the 5 and the 6.
Yeah.
You're getting up there.
What's funny is, I think I talked about this last time, when I played it, myself and Harry, we both had straights, and Harry was convinced. He was 100% convinced no one's going to beat his hand. I was like, mate, I will beat your hand. I said, guaranteed no one's beating my hand. And his straight was 1 card off beating mine. Like his was lower. I ended up using the 10, and he didn't use the 10, he used the 9 instead. What are the chances? Ben, what are the chances of that happening?
Yeah.
You tell us, Ben.
The exact same thing happened to us in our game. I can't remember both the players. I think maybe Chris and Mark were doing it, and they kept swapping the 5 and the 6 between them and talking about it, debating it. And the last second, whoever the player was took the chip and took the 6 and was like, that's it, we're done. And they got it right. But it was 1 card in it. It was that close. And that was great. When they did that, that was just like photo finish, movie ending brilliance. So, love the game.
What about you, Connor?
Well, I'm going to talk about a game that I have talked about before on the podcast, and I played it with you, Dana, and it was your first foray into TCGs, and then you joined the dark side. You joined the Mouse Army, but it's not Lorcana. It is Altered. So Altered, I'll put this out there, is available on BGA, and you can play with all 6 of these starter decks for free. So I don't even think it's on BGA Premium. So Altered is a trading card game. It is not made by any of the big companies, i.e. Disney, Wizards, or Konami, who makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Nintendo that makes the Pokemon cards. So it's its own thing. So it's sort of trying to punch above its weight in terms of that. But what it does do, and why I think it appeals to board gamers potentially, is because rather than it being a card battler, which many of these games are, it's a card game where you're vying for area control. So you're vying for area control by playing creatures into what's called either the hero side or the companion side. Because what you're trying to do is win each of these particular zones using either a green, brown, which is earth. So green's plants, brown is earth, and then blue is water, using the different elements that are present on your character cards. And like these other trading card games, there's different factions. So they've all got particular names. But effectively, it's like red, green, brown, purple, blue, and then pink. And they've all got their different abilities and things like that. If you have played games like Magic the Gathering before, which much of our community have, or even Lorcana, you'll get the hang of this game pretty quickly, and you'll start to understand the theme that these decks are going for. Whether it's summoning minions, whether it's buffing characters, whether it's getting cards out really quickly and dominating areas. But the cool wrinkle with this is that once you've played a character card, it's effectively like they're a dream. So what they do is they go into the reserve after you've played them. So unless a card has a particular ability, which is called anchored, they don't last for more than 1 turn. And what this means is that each turn you need to think about how you're going to win your zone. Because if the game didn't have this process of the characters being removed, this game would not be very fun at all, because you just get a strong character out, it would stay there and just win in the zone again and again and again. There are very few cards that remove characters, In fact, not many of the factions have these cards at all, and they can be very expensive. However, because cards don't stay around for more than a turn, generally, that's not a big deal. Where these cards go into your reserve, you can then choose to play them from your reserve. So you might feel like your hand is quite small at the beginning, but once you start playing cards, they go in your reserve and they stay there until you have to sort of mill them out and get rid of them. Now, I'm sort of bearing the lead here a little bit because the way that you win this game, there's no life points. There's no points to get per se. It's not, I've got to get to 10 points before you. So it's not like Lorcana where you're racing for lore. It's not like Magic the Gathering where you're trying to eliminate life points. What you are doing is you're trying to win enough zones so that your hero token and your companion token then cross over, because the theme of this is that there's heroes for each of these different different races, different factions, and they also have a cute little companion too. Now, in lots of cases, that companion might be a character in the deck. Sometimes they can summon them or whatever, but really what they're there for is just to show you that they can cross over at some point. And if you're the first person for your characters to your companion and hero to cross over, then you win, or reach the same square, then you win. And then there's like what happened with myself and Tom is we had a playoff where it's like whoever can get the most overall then wins. You have mana, so it's the same as it's the same word as Magic. However, your mana is a card that you can discard from your hand. So you draw 2 cards at the start of every turn, and then you don't have to discard one to be mana. So you start off kind of slow, but at the same time in Magic, unless you're going to be really ramping up your mana pool early, you're generally playing 1 land per turn anyway. The other interesting aspect is, and this is, I think, Dana, something you found interesting when you both learned Altered and Lorcana, we had a bit of a chat after PAX, is that rather than playing out effectively your entire turn, so exhausting all your mana, exhausting all your cards, what happens is I play an action, and then my opponent would play an action, and it just keeps getting passed backwards and forwards. And what this does, it really allows you to plan out, and again, because you're vying for location rather than dealing damage or trying to get lore, this is really important because it means that you can see where you're playing your opponent's character for that turn before you play yours, rather than me playing everything and then, you go, well, that's not worth me going for that zone. I'll play the other one, and then so on and so forth. So it really is a bit of back and forth, but it does not make the game very long at all. The game is quite snappy. Even playing it over turn-based or over BGA, it feels quite quick. Once people know what they're doing, it could really fly through. So myself and Tom played a game at Gamepalooza together. And we'd also played one at the Melbourne Game Day. It's really good. I feel like this game probably doesn't get the love it deserves because it is competing against the big dogs in Magic and in Pokemon cards and in Lorcana now, but I think it's got a lot to offer. I was very kindly given all 6 of the starter decks by VR through Brita, and I am going to bring them to every game day I am at from here on in, including. And we also had it at PlayCon last year. We had it. It's in before it even went to market. So it is a trading card game, so you can buy booster packs and whatnot, but I'm having a lot of fun just using the cards that I've got here, a lot of fun just using the cards on BGA. The other cool thing is what they do is some cards are altered, which means that their mana cost might be different. They might have a special ability. So it's the same card, but it's an altered version of that card. And that's really cool too.
So sorry, when you say altered, you mean like almost like a shiny, but it does have different stats.
Yeah, but that's right. Now, I don't know in terms of rarity and things like that. I'm not into that side of things. In fact, I haven't even bought a booster pack of these yet. But I believe they might be rarer, but they do have a special effect. Rather than like with Pokemon, it's like a shiny card is a rare card and it's more powerful or whatever. So if you, number one, are interested in getting into a card game that you can play, the decks are very cheap. They're like $25, I think, for one of these starter decks. That's all you need. So you get 2 starter decks for $50, $40. Grab a mate, play it, learn the cards and see if you like it. It is very forgiving in terms of the rules overhead because all of the special abilities are explained on the cards. So it's not as if you're like, oh, I've got all these keywords, Magic the Gathering. I think Adrian's called it keyword the game. It's like, it's not like that. Everything is explained on the card, and it's like, hey, I can do this. This means I can be played from my hand and get this ability. This means I can be played here. Like, it's really, really clever how they've designed it. I love the world that it's set in as well. So if you're keen, please, and I've had a few people say that they're keen to learn it. If you're at a game day, just hit me up. I'd love to play it with you. It's really fun. The art is super cute. I love the world it's in. I really hope this game can succeed. And yeah, keep your fingers crossed. That's all I can say. Yeah, done.
What's the release schedule of new cards and things like that? Because I must admit, I don't know a lot about Altered because we don't sell it at More Than Meeples. But Lorcana, man, it is hard to keep up with the new. It's just constantly having new releases. Pokemon's the same.
They need to keep people riding that addiction wave. If it drops down, that's when people start to lose interest, and they have few people drop off, and then the hardcore people stay. But if the wave is just going and going, they just got to keep up with that demand to keep people on that main vein, basically.
So maybe Altered, I was thinking, is maybe if it's got a slower release schedule, is a safer option. If you're starting out, or you might want to try trading card game, that could be a good option for people, I would imagine.
And without getting too much into the weeds, is that because it's got this digital format to play on BGA, what you can do, and I have no need for it because all the cards I have are in BGA anyway, but you can scan, each card has a QR code on it, which is a bit gaudy, but anyway, it's got a QR code on it. And what it does is you scan it and you can make your own collection, and then you can make your own decks and play it on BGA. Whereas so for example, Magic the Gathering Arena, your digital collection does not link up with your physical collection. You've got to buy all those cards again for a reduced price. Yeah, for a reduced price, of course, because it's digital. But there's no like, hey, I've got this cool as blue deck. Let me play it on Magic the Gathering Online. No, you've got to buy those cards and so on and so forth. So they're really trying to make it affordable for you to be able to do it either online against people all over the world through BGA. And they've done a really clever thing by putting it on BGA where board gamers are. And you can sign up for free as well on BGA. You can have a free account. You don't have to have the gold. Or just have your physical cards and you can reorder cards if something happens to one of them. So if one of your cards gets wrecked or whatever, you can hit them up and they will send you another copy of that card. You just have to prove that you had the original, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
So, yeah. It's very clever. They're trying a whole bunch of things to make themselves different, including the game itself, how it's not just like combo, I win. Which people can get annoyed with.
Okay, so that's The Gang and Altered. So now for some news and announcements. It's getting very close to PlayCon. It's very, very exciting.
It's like 100 days, I think, something like that, 102 days. I check it regularly.
Exciting. Have you got anything to tell us?
I tell you what, I have got something to tell you that I can't tell you, but I will say if you don't have a ticket, get a ticket ASAP. It's like, I think it's like 3-day passes are like 97% sold. Like we've probably got like less than a dozen left. I don't know the numbers exactly at the moment. We looked at it the other day and we're like, oh God, we need to start to manage this and keep an eye on this. But I will say if you do not have a ticket, you will want to get a ticket soon because we do have a couple of pretty big announcements. One of them, for me, I was like flabbergasted. I was like, what? So yeah, buckle in, get a ticket, and yeah, we'll see you at PlayCon. We're very excited. So,
oh, wonderful. We've also got the Brisbane Game Day coming up. That was just announced last week. So that's coming up on the 17th of May. It's at the Royal on the Park again. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. It's a smaller event this time, so it might be worthwhile getting a ticket a little bit earlier than usual. But so that's on the 17th of May.
Just one other tiny announcement. I just wanted to quickly mention that Carl Van Ostren's game Draconis 8 is now on Steam. So you can actually check that game out. It's like an early access thing. I believe you just add it to your wish list, and once the early access happens, you can join in. But it looks really good. I watched a couple of animations of gameplay and stuff, and it looks like they've done a really good, solid job. So, hey, if you've got Steam and you haven't played the game or had a chance to check out the game, this is a great opportunity to maybe throw Carl some support and check this game out. So
awesome. So last week's question of the pod. I don't know whether it was last week. I'm in the time warp again. Are we in the time warp? I don't know, from Oceania month.
You guys are, because
No,
you're
it's
behind.
Like I'm in a time warp again.
last pod, you can say that rather than last week.
Last pod's question of the pod was, what game have you played that shouldn't work but does?
Yeah, I saw a bunch of answers previously. I agree with a couple of them, definitely. One of them being QE, shouldn't work. Should not work at all in any facet, but it works really well. Like, it's a great game.
That was mentioned a lot in the answers to the question of the pod. QE was one of those. I
completely see why, because by all intents and purposes, that game just within the first 2 rounds goes completely off the rails, makes very little sense. It is completely bonkers, but it's great, and it's a really good game and really good fun. And I don't know how it works properly, but it works,
Do you have a game, Connor, that comes to mind that you can think of that doesn't work or that shouldn't work?
Like these mashup legacy games that have been made. It's like, that's not going to work. How is that going to work? And they do. Like, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there's definitely a few of them where it's like, what? So, for example, this one here, Seven Wonders Duel. So 7 Wonders Duel, the Duel from Middle-earth. It's like 7 Wonders at 2 players. How's that going to be fun? How is that going to be any fun? And they did it. Like, for me, it was like, why? Like, I literally played this game at max player count, so it's the most amount of fun, so you can get the most cards out. And I was like, I want to play this at 2 players, and just with that the way that you draft and the way it's open and then closed, like, it's so clever. And then the Duel for Middle Earth just puts Lord of the Rings spin on it with the, trying to chase the ring around and stuff like that. I was trying to chase the ring with Frodo and Sam, and then the Nazgul. That's, I think it's that for me is like, it shouldn't work, but it does. So, yeah.
One game that is mentioned, and it's coming up when we talk about some answers from our community, but the one that came to mind for me was Things in Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Mixing these Venn diagrams with some kind of word game. It seemed like a really strange combination to me. And when I thought about it, I thought, how can that possibly work?
And be fun? Like, that's the thing. It's
exactly.
Like,
it doesn't sound fun at all.
It's the game, but is it fun? Like, but yeah.
Yeah, it works really well. So from Facebook, we have Craig Summerton. Of course, he mentions QE.
Sorry, Craig. Stole his thunder.
Stole his thunder. Yeah. A pure auction game, blind bidding, where the values are set by individual players in the game and could potentially be any, in capitals, amount. It shouldn't work, but it does, and can be hilarious with the right crowd. So true. Man, the thing you don't want to do in that game is like bid $1 million, which is what I did the first time I played it. And, of course, you can't win if you spent the most money. So it's a crazy game. Felicity Grace says The Mind. The concept of everyone having a number 1 to 100 and needing to place their cards in numerical order in the shared pile where no communication is allowed and the cards are hidden. The length of waiting before placing becomes information, as does the hard stairs in such a game. From Instagram, Viskiddles says, I thought 9-card tableau builders like Castle Combo and Pixies wouldn't work. Boy, was I wrong about that. They're bite-sized games, but they are packed with so much strategy. That's actually very true. Like 9 cards, you think, oh, is it really worth it? But they are.
Yeah.
And we just I just play those over and over. I play several times in a row. They're really satisfying to play. I love those. Would you mind reading out Discord, Connor?
Not at all. So my good buddy Chris Torkium says, a game that physically shouldn't work but does, Dodo. So in a game about me and Adrian, how the ball manages to roll down ramps at pace it does without gravity, pulling the ball off the ramps and straight to the floor. It's some kind of witchcraft with a capital W, mind you. As for a game that works but shouldn't, The Gang, who knew that turning poker into a cooperative game could be fun? Fake Artist is also a really good example, drawing one line on a shared drawing. So The Gang we've talked about. I've not played Dodo. Have you guys played Dodo?
No, never even heard of it.
No,
I'm sure I will now.
Yeah.
But Fake Artist is very good too. Now I come to think of it, where everybody's drawing a little piece of a drawing, but it's all one line. Yeah, it's really good.
So Manny, my favourite things makes no sense when explained, but in practice, it's wildly amusing. Dana, I believe you have experience with my favourite things.
Yes, yeah.
Mark, also known as Ray's DM Extraordinaire, says Wilmot's Warehouse is just random abstract pictures like the memory games you played as a kid, yet ridiculously good. Lauren has talked about this game at length. I would really love to play this game. Really much because I just like the name Wilmot. I think it's like whatever.
I like it too. It sounds cool.
Yeah, Wilmot. So yeah, I'd like to do that. And Satellite Nova. This is an interesting one. So board game adjacent, but talking about Yu-Gi-Oh, which I talked about a trading card game this evening too. Who thought negating everything your opponent does could possibly make an enjoyable game? So I have not played Yu-Gi-Oh in some time, in some serious time. But yes, Dana, if I was to give you one bit of advice, don't try getting into Yu-Gi-Oh. It's next level.
I have no idea what it's about. I don't even know.
Next level.
Yeah, okay. Move on. So our new question of the pod is, this is based on the Flip 7 drinking extravaganza at Adrian's place. What board game would work well as a drinking game? Do you guys have any thoughts on what board game would work well as a drinking game?
I think I've got a good one.
Ooh.
And it's you can even combine it with the old-fashioned game of King's Cup, and that's Quacks of Quedlinburg. Because what you do is when you draw a token, you have a different drink and you pour it in the cup, and whoever bursts first, they have to drink the cup. Adrian is like, that God. Imagine how funny that would be.
That would be so good. That's actually awesome. That is really good. I think that's a great suggestion.
Yeah. Anything where it's like, I've drawn this out, and then, or maybe you could do like it's the same drink, but for every token that you draw out, you pour a little bit of the drink into the cup, and then whoever bursts first. So it's not like some.
If you could do up a set of rules, that would be great.
I used to write up rules for our drinking games at uni, so yes, I can do that.
Have you got any thoughts on a suitable drinking game? Surely you've got something in that cabinet behind you there that would be a good drinking game, Adrian.
Well, after Flip 7, I made the meme of, I'm going to forget his name now. Is it Heisenberg? I did a meme of Heisenberg holding the Flip 7 box saying, "I have now become Death, Destroyer of Worlds," because that is how I felt the following day after playing that. But I think maybe I could get a bit more like, I don't know, heavy Euro. We could do Barrage. Like we could do, it's got water. It's a liquid. You could do, if you run water through someone's conduit, you have to drink. So if you borrow someone's... Yeah, if you borrow someone else's conduit, they have to drink because they used your conduit. To try and stop people doing that, because I hate when people do that in the game when you're set up for a good turn and it's on a neutral dam and they steal that water from you. God. I hate that. That drives me insane. So yeah, maybe that could be the forfeit for that.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds awesome. I wish I could come up with something, but being pretty much a non-drinker, I can't even think of anything that would inspire me to drink. Can't think of anything. I've got nothing.
Yours should be like with a Lorcana card. If you get a rare card, you got to have a drink. So you open the pack, drink.
Yeah, like with my addiction. But that's a very lonely drinking habit.
On your own?
Just drink it by myself. Like, you know.
You could do a draft.
I guess I could do it at work. That would.
No, I'm not encouraging that. Yeah. No, we could do a Lorcana draft, and whoever gets the rarest card has to drink out of the pack. I don't know.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, I could try that.
A lot of people would say, none. You should not be pairing drinking with cardboards or cards because what if it spills? And then...
Spillage. Oh, my God, that's
There
horrendous.
may be someone that's still on this podcast that has not lived down spilling drinks over games.
Oh, I know. But it was water. It was water. See, I think that's okay. If it was something bad... Yeah. Actually, during your... maybe I shouldn't say that. Oh, I probably shouldn't say that. Sorry.
That's very fine. Someone
I
spilled
couldn't
something
start it.
on my
I was
games.
just gonna
It's
say-
fine. I don't care. Wouldn't worry me. I'll find out in 2
but
years.
it was on your table. It was on your
Oh,
game table.
Don't
There
care.
were a
It's all
few
good.
spillages on there, but it was cleaned
Mate,
up very
when
hastily.
I was trying to pour shots on that table, they were going everywhere. It was like I was on a boat in the ocean. They were just going all over the place.
And
It's fine.
I went kind of like goblin orc mode too, because after I had my shot, when Ben dealt me those cards and I cracked it at Ben, I took the shot and I sort of like did like a spin with the shot glass and it kind of dribbled everywhere. And I was like, oh yeah, that's bad Connor behavior. We don't that. And I sort of I put
Bro, you
goblin-
flipped the chair as well. Like, don't,
No,
it's all good.
I flipped the chair and then popped it up like I was going to hit him WWF style with it. That's what I did.
Yeah, that was good.
Oh God.
No judgment in my house, mate. You do what you
No.
like. It's all good.
Oh. But you know what I love? Tell you what I love. I love this community. This community is the best. And if you want to support our podcast, you can always go to patreon.com/boardgamebarbecue and you can get access to exclusive podcast episodes that we record just for our Patreons. Adrian just did a great podcast episode with Ian O'Toole about anime movies. Is that right?
It is right. And I have to admit, I have spoken to Ian quite a lot. We've hung out at PlayCon, we've play tested many, many games and hung out in general. And I was very nervous about recording that episode because I feel like he has a massive knowledge of these things and he is really into the culture and all that sort of stuff. And I love them, but I'm not as knowledgeable as Ian. So for me, I was like a bit nervous that I'd say something that was like not right.
Yeah.
But it was great. I had an absolute blast. We actually spoke for about 45 minutes before we recorded. And I was like, we should have recorded this.
Yeah,
This
that's
was
right.
it was just all about board games and where we see board games going and all this other stuff. And I was like, why didn't I hit record? This is really interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure we'll get back to it one day. So
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a Patreon, you get access to those types of episodes. If you can't contribute that way, you can always just contribute or support the podcast by not donating and just telling other people about our podcast. So if you can do that, that would be great. You can also go to Apple Podcasts or on Spotify and leave a rating, maybe 5 stars, hopefully. And you can also get involved in the Board Game Barbecue community. There's always posts from the community or from the Board Game Barbecue encouraging conversation. You can also follow us on X, Instagram, and you can even listen to the podcast on YouTube. So just get involved. The other thing is Discord. Discord is a really wonderful family of people, and Connor is there just putting his fist in the air. It's like that movie, the Breakfast Club. Forget about me. Yeah, it's like that. Anyway, we've met so many wonderful people through Discord, and a lot of the people that were at Gamerpalooza, for example, were people that probably you have met through Discord and through the community, through the Discord community. So it's really a wonderful way. Yeah.
I just reiterate, I had no friends. I didn't know anybody.
I don't understand this. Why do you have no friends?
Well, I moved
really
to
asked that
Australia
question?
late in my life.
Yeah,
and
but you didn't have any friends? No
Nah,
friends?
because I moved out here in my 30s. Like, I didn't just sort of, and I was working and Finn was young, so I was being a dad consistently. And it's very hard if you don't know anybody and you live out, way out west in the middle of nowhere. I didn't live in Brisbane before. I was out towards Bow Desert way. Like, it's very hard to meet people and, have a life.
Yeah, I thought it was strange when you said you didn't have any friends, because you're not a loser. Adrian, don't let people tell you that. You're not a loser.
Except me.
But you know what it's time for now? I've been working on that. That's a fireball.
I was going to
Wow.
say, I felt like that either felt really Dungeons and Dragony or anime like. Hadouken.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so
Adrian.
this is the time
It
of
was
the
an
podcast.
anime sailor trying to get some phlegm out the back of his throat.
I don't.
Oh my God. Anyway, what can I say? I'm working on it anyway. It'll get better. It'll get better. So this is the end of the episode where we talk about what we're fired up about, what we're excited about in our lives. Adrian, what are you excited about? Or is everything
Nothing.
just
I'm a
bleh?
loser. Nothing. Oh, big old loser. Got nothing. No, I've had my massive excitement, for me. So having the birthday and having everyone together was great. I don't think I'll top that experience and having everyone in the same space for a while. But for me, I mean, to continue the Elder Scrolls campaign with Finn is very exciting because he's just so into it, and I want to kind of ride that wave of keeping him interested and keep him engaged rather than, going, I'm a bit tired, we'll play it another day or whatever. And also, this is going to sound really cheesy, but we have watched Rocky 1 and Rocky 2 this weekend, and I am so excited to show Finn and MJ Rocky 3 because MJ bagged out Rocky the whole time. She's like, I'm not watching it. It's trash. I don't want to watch it. And I have a video of someone chanting Rocky's name while he was getting decked in Rocky 2. I will maybe put that in the Discord pit channel and probably get shot, but it's worth it. So, yeah.
Oh, awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to playing more Elder Scrolls and more Anarchy and to continue the Late Night Boys. It's fun.
That is so cute. I think that is really cute. I didn't know about that, so that's really lovely that you guys do it.
It's great.
I see you I don't know, a bunch of you on the channel, on the gaming channel or whatever, the voice channel in the evening. So that's what you're doing. You're all playing
Overwatch, Marvel Rivals. Entering the channel comes with a language warning, mind you, at that time of night. And most of the time it's me with the foul language. So I do apologise. Anyone that's come in and be like, oh, what's going on here? Yeah. And be like, and just heard me
throw a controller across the room.
Yeah.
No, it's so funny. Controller. It was so funny as well because Connor said like, oh, Finn, you should name our team. And then Finn's like, okay, we'll call ourselves the Late Night Boys. And we were like, yeah, okay, we like that. Let's go. And now it's become a thing, into the point of potentially getting some Late Night Boys T-shirts for PAX. So,
that would be so wonderful. That would be great.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Oh, that's awesome. What are Lauren and I going to wear? We're going to look like idiots. We'll have to wear something.
You can wear a Late Night Boys shirt. You'd be like our support crew.
Oh, yeah. I'll be a groupie. I could be a groupie. I've always wanted to be a groupie.
It's kind of like, I mean, I'm part of it, but it's one of the lamest things to be a groupie for. It's been a Late Night Boy, but anyway.
Okay, I'm going to let you know that I am booking tickets maybe this week, but probably next week. It's happening. I've been given permission to go. I'm going to Dice Tower West.
Wow.
Ooh, nice.
Next year, I have been given permission to go. I'm allowed to go. Ben was going to come with me, but he's decided against it. So I'm heading there on my own, and I am going to meet the Tom Bassel.
No, you're not, because there's going to be an order out against you the moment you land.
I cannot, but I mean, it's so exciting. I feel like a tightness in my chest when I talk about it, but I'm just so excited.
That could have been all the brisket from last weekend, actually.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that still hasn't come out yet. Anyway.
You need some fibre. I'm growing strawberry guavas.
Oh, God. Oh, dear. Anyway, so that is it for this podcast. It was great to chat about your birthday bash. It was such a memorable experience for the year, really. It was so memorable. And I'm sorry, but there's a lot of pressure on you to continue this. You have to do it. And it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And there's going to be people there next year that you don't even know.
That happened this year. But yeah, no, it's good. It was fun. Like, yeah, I don't know. Well, I'm not saying it's happening, but I'm definitely not saying it's not happening. So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway, see you guys. See you next time.
See you guys. Bye.
I'm gonna jam my thumb right up his butthole.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
Oh my god. Extreme
Fucking
close
extreme
up.
close up.
Extreme close up.
Imagine if you could get like the timing of me dropping the chips.
You know what I'm going to have a picture of?
Oh,
in
God,
the
you can't do that.
In the PP. That's not a swear word.
I